Fairy dust. Mercury is out of retrograde. You should now.
Hey, we're live. There we are.
Hello, everybody.
Now it worked that time. Hi,
Yes.
everybody.
Okay.
All right.
So, all right. Yeah. See, now you have a viewer. So
I do.
Okay. So we are. So we have on. This is live on YouTube. So that means that you can chat. I think it's right there. It's
For
right
you
there
guys,
for
it
us.
should be right there.
Yeah.
But let's
so-
do the other way just in case.
Or go that way.
So
Or possibly that way. I don't think it's
in
this
this,
way.
it should just be a chat thing where it just says, say something.
Yeah.
And
say
so you
something.
should be able to talk to us like you do on Facebook.
Right. So
our ambition with this was with the ones that are not tarot. We wanted to reach a broader audience and appeal to as many people as we can. And then we'll continue to do tarot on Facebook.
Right.
So
yeah.
So this is about our talk about gratitude, which we're not going to be grateful yet. We'll be grateful in a little bit. We'll be grateful if this
We're
works.
grateful now. We're grateful now because we get to hang out. We get to hang out together.
Okay.
So that's
Grateful.
fun.
We're grateful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Done.
So
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So I've been live for 2 minutes and you've been live for 1. Anyway, so let's just go.
Let's just
Hi,
go.
Katrina.
Hi,
Hi.
Shannon. Welcome.
Hi. Well,
Glad
welcome
you're
to you
here.
too. I'm glad that you're here too on my
Yeah.
channel, and I'm glad to be on your channel.
We're glad to be on each other's channels.
Yes.
It's like our channels are dating.
My baby channel.
Yeah.
I have a baby channel.
So everybody that's on my channel, be sure to go to Shannon's channel. Shannon, promote your channel. What is the URL for your channel? Is it the Healing Tree?
I think it's.
We'll put it in the
link.
links.
I think it's like Sacramento Healing Tree.
We'll put it in the links.
Yeah, it'll be in the link. So, yay, we have a comment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello.
Okay.
So, but be sure and find Shannon and subscribe to her so that we can build up her YouTube and she feels
And
all
if
good
you're
about
on
that.
mine, go to Katrina's, and Katrina's is
Just Katrina Rasbold.
Katrina. That's very easy.
Yeah, just youtube.com/Katrina Rasbold. That's
we
me. That's where those who are on my side are right now. So, yeah.
Perfect.
All right. So, hi, Jen. Good to see you. Yep, Jen. Got it. Okay. Didn't want to say it wrong. So, we're going to take a minute before we really get into this conversation and talk very briefly about some of the things coming up at Crossroads Metaphysical Store. So, if you are local to the Shingle Springs area, if you're in Sacramento or Folsom or Placerville or someplace close by, come on up and share time with us this weekend. We have a lot of good things going on. First, we have this wonderful class, which is witchcraft. It's actually witchcrafting. I spelled it wrong on the calendar if you have the calendar. With Vision Boards class with Stephanie.
Yeah, that's going to be fun.
That's our wife.
She's our wife.
And Stephanie is going to be teaching how to use vision boards for positive manifestation. Plus, it's just fun. We're going to be cutting out pictures and putting them on a vision board and manifesting in that way. And it's just a whole lot of fun.
Well, and and the story of what Steph has done with vision boards is pretty cool too. So,
or didn't she make you with a vision board?
I think I might have been part of it, but like she like moved to Hawaii from it. It's pretty cool. So, yeah. Anyway.
Yep.
And it's free. It's free class.
So if you want to move to Hawaii, come make a vision board. And then at 4:00 we have Uncrossing with Hexaba. That is another free class going on where she's going to be talking about all kinds of uncrossing methods. And then right after that, she has a tarot class that's free. That's Introduction to Tarot. So,
and me.
What?
I'm actually, it's not on the calendar.
You're not on the calendar?
But I will not on that one.
That's weird. Okay.
I think it's at 5. No, I can't remember. I'm doing a class on Saturday, and it's holidays. Shield up.
Oh yeah. Shield up.
So it's basically how to energetically survive.
5 to 7.
5 to 7. It's energetically how to survive the holidays. Being empathic, or just somebody who's sensitive to energy, or just somebody who has a hard time being around their family. I'm trying to say this as nice as I can.
So we actually unpacked this a lot in Goddess ICU, because our subject for Goddess ICU, which for those of you who don't know and aren't local to our shop, we have a meeting called Goddess ICU, which is not just Goddess Intensive Care Unit, but it's Goddess ICU.
Yes.
And we talked about the challenges of holidays and how exhausting they are, how hard it is, how many feels we get tied into the holidays as far as emotional challenges and triggers that we have that just come up at holidays. And it was a really insightful and evocative conversation that we had. And yeah, holidays are tough, and they're
Mhm.
especially tough if you're empathic and pick
Mhm.
up on everybody else's feelings as well as yours. And
Right.
so that's what you're pretty much going to be
Yeah,
going
and
into.
just in how to take care of yourself energetically and just take care of yourself during the holidays.
And then on the 24th, no, I'm jumping ahead.
No, you're.
I'm not, I am, okay.
24th.
It's already the 23rd and 24th.
I know, isn't
I
that
can't get
crazy?
used to that. That's
It's
wild.
insane.
Yeah, yeah.
Like 2019 is almost over.
Because today's the 21st, because yesterday was
Yeah.
Jelena's birthday.
Yeah.
So
Happy
on the
birthday, Dylan.
on the 24th on Sunday, this is going to be a lot of fun. Our belly dance
Oh.
teacher, Zurakia, is having a holiday makeup class. So you come and she teaches you how to work with different challenges, like if you have hooded eyes or thin lips and that sort of thing, and how to look amazing for the holidays. Because you know I'm vain for the holidays. If I go to a party or I'm doing something, I want to look to the nines.
Right.
I
Yeah.
really want to be dialed in.
Well,
and you and I are both makeup junkies.
Well, and there's so many fun like looks that you can do, and if
Oh,
you know
yeah.
you don't really know how, then she can kind of give you some tips. And
I always wanted to be one of those people that just looks amazing without makeup, and that
I was one of those people like when I was like 8.
my first husband really put it well, because he was trying to be kind, but he said, you know, you're one of those people who really benefits from the use of good makeup.
Yeah, like how do you take that?
yeah. But I love makeup. I love contouring. I love highlighting. I love everything about really bringing out the best parts. And Zura's an expert at that. So be sure and come at 1 o'clock for that. At 6 o'clock, a lot of fun. This is a brand new thing that we're doing. We just started it last month during the PG&E power outages. And we have Conjure by Candlelight. And that's where we set up a table in the back where it's dark, and we have candles going, and we bring snacks and drinks and wine if anybody wants it.
Hey,
And
that's a nice party.
it is.
Snacks, drinks, and
wine.
And candles.
And then we sit in the candlelight and we just talk about conjure. So we're talking about all aspects of magic. If somebody wants to know about Wicca, we're going to talk about Wicca. If they want to talk about banishing, we're going to talk about banishing. If they want to talk about love magic, we're going to talk about love magic. And it really is an ask me anything situation.
Mm-hmm.
And what I have people do is just think about what they want to know about. And when it was dark last month, when the power was out, people came and we sat in the candlelight out of necessity, and somebody, because it was dark. And one of the ladies said, well, I want to know about herbalism. And so I taught a class on herbalism. And then somebody said, I want to know how to use oils. Then we talked about oils. So really it's just very free flowing as to what people want to know. And then after that, we have our Santa Muerte New Moon Mass at 8 o'clock. And that is a veneration, a time to spend communing with her and getting her blessing and asking her for stuff. Yeah, and then clothes for Thanksgiving, because it's munch time. Yep. Do you have anything to add? Anything else? The EFT class was fun, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
I enjoyed it. We probably will be doing that one for a while.
Yeah.
We've talked about, we're in the process of setting up an online classroom on crossroadsoccult.com.
Mm-hmm.
And when we do that, we've talked about having the EFT class on there, that we'll record a class and put it onto the EFT, onto the online classroom. So that might be coming too. So there's going to be a lot of classes on the online classroom for purchase. They're going to be very inexpensive. The classes are like $20 each. Mm-hmm. And I actually counted out, I think it was 60 different subjects or classes that we're going to have. And then maybe like 12 of them are on Brujeria. And I think it was 6 or 7 on tarot. And then we have a packet of Wicca classes, and then we've got all of the primal witchcraft classes, even the ones that I haven't taught yet. Yeah. I'm going to have online.
Yeah, and I'm going to be doing my classes as well. I'm just a little bit behind Katrina because I haven't got everything set up. But my microphone arrived in the mail today.
Woohoo!
So I at least have the mic.
That's fantastic. And I would say, when I think about your classes, what's been the most popular, I would say, is your Psychic 101 series.
Yeah.
But your Departed Soul Healings are really close.
Yeah, I'm not sure that would translate.
It wouldn't. That's more of a
hands-on kind of
thing.
You
got to be there thing. Yeah. And
the class on being an empath, I think, is big.
Yeah, too. That was really big. I think that was your biggest one yet. Yeah. But your Psychic 101, where you help people identify what kind of psychic they were, that was a big one too. Yeah, that was really good. So
that was a lot of fun. We got to sit outside.
Yeah.
That was nice and not freezing.
That was not freezing then.
Well, it's not freezing now, but
Pretty chilly. I don't want to be out there.
yeah, I don't want to be out there.
No.
No.
We've had our heater running today, in fact.
Just
So, and then at the house, we've had a fire every day. Because not, I mean,
we
like in the
haven't
stove,
tried
not
to do that yet.
incidental.
But I suppose this isn't very interesting.
No, we're back. Hey, so
See, we just start talking.
yeah, we actually wanted to give a few more people a chance to join in
Yeah.
on the conversation. We're going to go for approximately an hour on these What's Up Witches broadcast, and then it'll be recorded, and so people can access it later
Right.
too. So our subject for tonight is gratitude, and this is something that's really important to both Shannon and I.
Yes.
We've done extensive work with the power of gratitude, and it just sounds, when you think about us as being hardcore witches, which we both are,
Mhm.
and we're both really into the no bullshit magic.
Yep.
We're not into the fluffy bunny. We're into the up to your elbows in bones and blood and
Well, I mean,
Hardcore
somebody just the other day was like, "What kind of witch are you?" And I'm like, "Red? I don't know. Like that's my favorite color. I don't know." But it's just with the white and the black, dark witch or whatever it is. Nature is a balance, and how can you? I think that like when somebody asks that, they don't really understand what it means to be a witch at all. Anyway.
And that's true. I think that usually is the situation, is that people that ask that question, what kind of witch are you? They don't know what to ask.
Yeah.
And they want the information of what do you do? And really your craft is pretty personal. It's about as personal as asking somebody's sexual identification or gender identification.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I mean, it's none of those things are anything I'm ashamed of.
No. Well, there's just a balance to it. But I understand what Katrina was saying is that because we're hardcore witches, we're talking about gratitude.
It's really new agey.
Which kind of is.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean it doesn't work.
And see, that's the critical thing.
Yeah, it works.
And when we're talking about, we're going to make a vision board, it just sounds so hokey that there's a little girl inside me who wanted to be Melisandre from Game of Thrones, who was just screaming of, oh my God, we're going to make a vision board. Fantastic. Or we're going to talk about gratitude. Great. When do we get to conjure some demons?
Right, but I mean, and it's I don't. I consider myself an eclectic witch, and what's really cool about being an eclectic witch is that I get to pick whatever works.
Yeah.
And I, I've tried out. I've tried out the gratitude, and I've seen it manifest.
It does work, and that's why we want to talk to you about it tonight.
Yeah.
And with each other about it, is because like EFT is something else. That's really woo-woo. It's really almost academic.
Yeah.
And it works. And so that's what we do, is we look for what works. And there's even in my Wicca, when I teach Wicca students, I have a study pack they fill out. And I have them fill in the blanks of different Wiccan words. And one of them is, if it works, blank, blank. And they never get that. They're Googling it everywhere. Everywhere.
I don't remember this
and
one.
And if it works, steal it.
Yeah, that's right. So here we are.
Here we are talking about how grateful we are to be pillagers. So gratitude, there's several professional, which at the moment we are not, professional books written about the power of gratitude. And one of them is The Secret, in fact.
Yes.
And the movie as well, The Secret, which came before the book, is
Did it really?
Yeah, it did. The movie was first, and then they did the book.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Huh.
Just like, did you ever see What the Bleep? Yeah.
I started to watch it, and I never.
Yeah,
really
there was a
finished
book of it, but that came after the movie. So yeah.
How funny! That's so not normally how it goes.
Yeah,
I think.
I think so too. But the thing with The Secret, again, it's presented in a very polished, very romanticized way, to the point that you're almost as you're watching
I love that movie
because it's just so adorable, and yet there's so much of value that's there. And do you want to kind of talk about what you did with gratitude when you were setting up your practice?
Oh yeah. So actually, what's funny is actually so there's The Secret, and then there's there's a couple of
The
books. I have.
power.
There's the power, which is about love, and then there's the magic. And so I saw this book that said the magic on it, and I was like, oh, what's that? So
Are we gathering?
because I was like, it's about magic. What is it? So I got this book, and actually it was I'm not sure how long, but it was like daily practices of being grateful. And so you make like a list of what you want, and then you're grateful, and you go through these things and you're grateful. And I was just going through the book because I'm always forever a student. I love learning things. And one of the things that I wanted was a place outside of my home to have my healing business. And by the time that I finished the healing, I wasn't even done with the book, and I got it. And that was within 30 days. So, this works. That's why we say it works, because I was manifesting that by just being grateful. So it was pretty awesome.
And when you go to the idea that has really proven out over many decades of the laws of attraction, that what you focus on is what develops and what grows.
Right.
We have power within us. That power is like sun and wind and air and water to a seed.
Yes.
And as we turn our power towards certain things, those are the things that manifest.
Right.
And by gratitude practices, we turn our attention to the things in our lives that are important and that serve us well, and that begins to grow. And it sounds dorky, but it really, really does work.
Well, and if you stop and you think about, if you get up in the morning and you start complaining about everything you can't stand in your life, and this isn't working and that isn't working, and you are just putting yourself in this foul mood, and you are going to stay in this foul mood, and you're going to get on the freeway to drive to work, and because you're already in such a negative mood, everything around you, this person isn't driving this way, this person cuts you off, and then you're kind of pulling towards you energetically all of this negative stuff because you're emitting all of this negative energy. But when you get up in the morning and you're thankful that you woke up, you're thankful that you can see. Even if there's nothing else that you can be grateful for, you can be grateful for the fact that you woke up. So there's always something to be grateful for, even if it seems like there's nothing else to be grateful for.
I did something similar to this from a different direction at the lowest point of my life. This was after my first divorce. And I was just having a real breakdown, so that everything I believed in had been taken away from me. And it felt like, even though I was a witch and even though I was energetically in tune, it felt like all of a sudden the rug had just been pulled out and nothing was real anymore. And so what I did is I started a journal of what I knew to be true. And because I was really at a loss of what was real and what wasn't. My husband left me, so obviously all the things he said about loving me were not true. My future wasn't true because that went away. And so I just started writing things that I absolutely knew were my truths. And I made myself add one every day.
Like what were
I could reuse, like one was I love my kids. I knew that was true. But one was I have a roof over my head today. Another one would be I do believe in the power of the goddess. And just things like that were just very rudimentary stuff. And then I would make myself add one. I would repeat all the ones before if they were still true, and add one. And so by the end of a year, I've got pages and pages that I'm just writing and rewriting over and over. So it was a similar thing. But sometimes it was things like, I know that I'm afraid. That was a truth for me. So I wasn't always manifesting positive things because I was just pulling this out of my own butt, basically. But, when we're doing, even Oprah, who is not one of my favorite mentors, actually, as a person, but she has been promoting the idea of a gratitude journal for a long, long time. And so it's not something revolutionary. It's something that's been in effect for a long time. But just list, like you were saying, very basic things. I'm grateful that there's a roof over my head today. Even if you have an eviction notice in your hand, today you have a roof over your head. I'm grateful for glasses So I can see,
Mhm.
even though I'm an old lady.
Right, and and what another one of the things that I think is really important is that if you want to talk about what the goddess is giving us, how is it gonna? How does the goddess want to give us more if we're taking for granted what we already have? So if we do have a roof over our head today, but we're focused on the fact that we're not gonna in a month,
Mhm.
then how does that? I mean, like if I'm giving you a gift and you're like, yeah, I guess it's okay, but why don't I get this or that? I don't want to give you any more gifts,
Right.
And so the energy is of taking for granted of everything that you do have, but when you don't take things for granted, it pulls more to you.
It does.
On just an energetic level and the spiritual level of what is the God is giving you and all of those things. I mean, it's
Yeah.
really big.
When if you were to go to the wisdom of internet memes,
I
there's
really like internet.
there's
memes.
one that says that if you're worried, then you're attaching to a memory if it's in the past,
Mhm.
or your imagination
Or your
if it's in the
fear. Yeah.
future.
Right.
That it's not, and neither of those are real because our
Right.
memory is so subjective.
Mine sucks.
And we will always remember things wrong, and we'll remember
Mhm.
it in the way that we're the victim.
Yes.
And so that's, we need to stay very focused in the present. But I want to address something you were bringing up. For many, many years, and by many, many years, I mean like 30 years,
Mhm.
I've told my students the story of the grateful child. When they're talking about things they're manifesting, and we all have these people, and we're meeting more and more of them all the time, who are eternal victims.
Yes.
Everything about their narrative is victim status
Mhm.
and how they've been persecuted and all the terrible things that have happened to them. And they really kind of get off on the identity of being a victim and come across as very needy.
Yes.
So what I would tell people is, if you take the idea that we ascribe to gods and goddesses of being parental figures, because most of us, if we're looking for somebody to, lack of a better term, worship or have as a divine figure, we want them to be bigger and more of a badass than we are.
Yes, definitely.
Because we don't want, and that's why I never enjoyed the mythologies of the Romans and the Greeks on their gods and goddesses, because they imbued them with human frailties. And I wanted my gods and goddesses to be better than I was.
Right.
So I had somewhere to go. So anyway, I think that it's universal amongst many, many spiritual paths to make them into parent figures, mother, father, those divine parent figures. And if you look at it and follow that theme, and you think of yourself as a parent, what child do you want to please? What child makes you want to give to them?
Right.
Is it the one that's having the fit in Walmart, throwing down and screaming in the floor because you said, no, you can't have that toy?
Right.
Why can't I have it? But I want it. I mean, so often when we're trying to manifest something, we sound like petulant children if we don't get it.
Yeah.
We're like, but I want him to come back to me. I don't want him to go away.
Right.
But I want. That's the kid that you're like, you know what? Screw you, kid. We're going to the car.
Right. Yeah.
You get nothing.
Well,
then.
I mean, that makes me think about it's also our perspective of things that happen. Like in the morning when I can't find my keys, I get really upset, and then I stop and I go, maybe this is stopping me from having an accident. And then that kind of like shifts.
It helps.
It does.
It does.
Well,
It
I mean,
helps.
my attitude anyway.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing that you can kind of. But
I mean, if you've got
like,
a child who's saying
right.
to you, "Thank you so much for giving birth to me. Thank you for the food that you put on my table." No kid in the world has ever probably said that, but
not as a kid.
No,
I said it to my parents now.
But thank you for giving me food. Thank you for making sure I always have food. Thank you for for the nice birthday present that you gave me. Thank you for thinking of me. Thank you for not going out tonight when I was sick.
Right.
God, I would want to give that kid the world.
Right.
And so if, like the Bible suggests, that God made man in his own image, or, that the divine created us as little bitty holographs of them, it would seem like that the same would be so about the divine. That if we are grateful and we are saying, thank you for this, we're like, oh, have some money.
Yeah. Well, yeah, kind of, thing. Oh, and so let me look at the chat. So
I have a question here.
Yeah.
It is, how do you handle a jealous coworker? Any magic tips? And are we doing tarot readings? We are not doing tarot readings tonight. Those will be next week on Facebook.
Mhm.
We're doing them every other week. This week is class. Next week is
Right.
tarot.
And then I have one. Sometimes the simple things are difficult to remember to be grateful for, which is very, very true. Much like the getting up and
Yeah.
being,
We take it
have
for
my
granted.
eyes,
We take it for
and
granted.
breathing and stuff. Yeah, I would totally agree with that. And what was
Those are your rock bottom gratitudes.
when you can't
you've
think
got
of like
nothing
nothing
else,
else.
nothing
yeah.
else.
And you can say, I can, I woke up. I can see if you're able to see, or
And
hear if you're able to hear. And
I've been depressed enough that it's like, shit, I woke up. I really did not want to do that.
I have actually been to the point where I was like, if I didn't wake up, I'd be okay.
I'm good with
so,
this.
Yeah. So
So
but there's something
you gotta find. But at the same time, if I have to wake up, I've got a roof
right
today.
Yeah.
I have maybe a job today, or I have nice warm jammies today. I have a blanket.
Yeah, something.
Just anything. Gosh,
Yeah.
just put that energy of gratitude out there.
Yeah.
We're going to look weird as because
Yeah,
our
as we're-
secretary called in sick
Yeah.
today. Truly, she did.
Secretary is not the term. Our assistant.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
No, not secretary. She's
Assistant.
our assistant, and she's not here. She's homesick. Hi, Nelda.
What did she call us? Our director, our producer. That's
She's
what
our
she called us,
producer.
producer. Yeah,
She's our
that's what she
producer.
was
Yeah.
called.
Okay. I'm good with this. I'm good
So
with
see
this.
how grateful we are for
We're
her.
grateful that Nelda is normally here
Right.
to read the comments, so we don't have to be here going like
this.
yeah.
What
That.
does it say about her eyes? But
Yeah.
I'm still glad they work.
It's also not our flattering pose
It's not.
when we're all trying to read.
Squint, Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
So gratitude really takes on many different forms, as we've talked about.
Mhm.
There's the most basic gratitude for the most basic things when you're just by your fingernails clinging on.
Mhm.
And then there's those days where you're like, oh, I'm so grateful for everything in the world.
I love those days.
I'm in
Just
love with
those
love.
days.
I'm in love
Yeah.
with life. I'm in love with my shop. And that's one thing I do for the shop is as I'm leaving the shop at night, I always tell it thank you. When I go through and turn off the lights,
Mhm.
I thank the shop for being here. I thank the shop for helping people. I think because it's its own entity.
Yes.
It really, Crossroads is its own thing.
Yeah. So what the shop she's talking about
Yeah.
is Crossroads Metaphysical, and it's in Shingle Springs.
And you can look at it at crossroadsoccult.com.
Right.
Do you know how we got that name?
Yes, you told me.
Yeah. In Ghostbusters. I think it's Ghostbusters 2, actually.
Uh-huh.
Ray Spangler has a shop that's called Ray's Occult. And Eric wanted a shop. First, he wanted to call it the Pimpin' Pagan Pagoda. and then that was a long time ago when we first got a shop.
Of course he did.
And then he was like, Ray's Occult, because that's how he answers the phone. Ray's Occult.
Yeah.
And so we were trying, and of course, crossroads.com was just over. There was not crossroads.us, crossroads.anything.
Yeah.
So we had to put something in there. So we're
Yeah.
like, the Crossroads, our Crossroads, a Crossroads. But no, we're like, Crossroads Occult. Thanks for
Right.
calling.
Well, there's a big Ghostbusters theme
Yeah.
in this shop.
Oh, there is the Twinkie. Yeah.
With the Twinkie, and then that's what I always talk about when I'm explaining how your aura gets dirty. I talk about how
You got slimed.
you slimed
Yeah.
in the first Ghostbuster movie when does that guy have a name?
Yeah, he
green
does.
slimy
Slimer.
Is it Slimer?
Slimer.
So the green Slimer, when he comes and he gets
Yeah.
Bill Murray all over my, I say, oh, that's what life does to you, and I'll clean that off.
Yeah.
So.
And so I tell the shop thank you and thank you for being there today, even if it's a day when nobody comes in, which sometimes happens. Fortunately, it's not very often. But I just thank you for being here, for being a place of magic, for giving you and me a place to do what we do together. Because really, you and I both in our practice are better together than we are separately.
Yes, definitely.
We feed off each other so much. And then Eric with his crystal bowls, the meditations, just, there's so much about this that just vibes high that I really appreciate it. So I say thank you to the shop a lot.
Well, yeah, I mean, when I had it in my home, it was hard. It was much harder. And I'm very grateful for this shop. Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
So how do you use gratitude in like your daily life? What do you do? What are some of the practices that you have?
I'm one of those people that sometimes gets caught up in what I'm feeling emotionally,
Mhm.
and I forget to be grateful.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost like a sinkhole
Yeah,
that pulls
can
me
be, yeah.
in. And so I have to actively remember on a daily basis to be grateful. And the journal helps me do that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have it here with me, do I? Do I have my journal? It should be here.
You're badass.
Anyway, yeah, it says you're a
Yeah.
badass on it.
Because she's a badass.
Yep. So
You're a badass.
so I have to you are a badass.
You are a badass.
Right on. So I have to remember to write those out and be grateful, because I'll just get lost in whatever I don't have. And it's weird how you can have a million things, and if you don't have two
One thing.
things, they become the
Well,
power.
it's like when you go in, like your boss gives you a review, you can say all these other things and say one thing wrong, and you'll only remember that one thing.
You know what kills me? Amazon reviews.
Oh, for your books.
You don't even know the stab in the gut that is. You will soon. But yeah, they'll go in and say, well, you weren't historically correct. And you can have 100 other people saying, I love this book, it was amazing. And one person gives you a bad review, it's over. I don't even read my reviews anymore, which is a bummer, because there's a lot of good ones on there.
Yeah.
And I just don't have the skin to do that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that just paying attention to the joys in life and not letting the bad things overshadow, because the bad things always feel so big. They feel huge.
Yeah. Well, so how do you get yourself out of that? Do you have any tools that you use?
Yeah, I call Shannon.
You call me. Yeah, I'm like ridiculously grateful all the time. I'm not grateful all the time, but I mean, it's I try really hard to wake up in the morning and say thank you, and look around it. I'm grateful for my wife that I wake up next to, and and you know what? I think it's like the easiest way to get into gratitude is your animals. Like when I pick up Dixie in the morning and I bring her out to go to the bathroom, she's a little tiny chihuahua, and so I'm holding her, and she's nuzzles in my neck, and she's going, and it's just the cutest thing in the world. And so like every morning I'm like very grateful for this adorable little dog in my arms, and that just kind of most of the time, but not every day. I'm pretty good at being grateful for things, but it's not every day.
So how do we, when we're in a place of gratitude, even, how do we let these little things trip us up? I mean, something goes wrong. It's like typing. When I was in high school, back when the dinosaurs roamed and the earth was cooling, we had typing classes that were on actual typewriters that are like IBM Selectrics and stuff. And you're like,
did you have the ball, or was it the little?
Both. I've done both. I've done both.
I had that in my typing class.
And so you're doing the exercises, and you'd have to turn in your paper at the end of the day you'd have these exercises you did all day long, or all period long. And you'd have to turn in the paper that had, and it wasn't like print. You're creating it as you're typing. So you're sitting here doing exercises like J, J, J space, K, K, K space, L, L, L space, Sim, Sim, Sim space. And so you'd go through these huge exercises of learning to type, and you would do great 2/3 of the way through it. The second you make one mistake, it's on like Donkey Kong. You are screwing up everything you type. And sometimes life just feels like that.
Yeah,
like you're cruising and you feel really good, and one bad thing happens, and you just missed a step on the staircase, and you're going like assholes over elbows down the life of stairs.
Well, like in my meditation class, when I talk about when you're meditating and you realize that you have started to think about my to-do list, or did I leave the stove on, or all these other things, and you're like, oh crap, I'm thinking again. In meditation, you go, oh, I'm just thinking. Okay, let me come back to my breath, or come back to whatever it is. And I think that if we, like, for me, because I love to meditate, but I have that practice, and I'm used to going, oh, I got off track, let me come back on track. So if like you're being grateful, and then you get tripped up on something that you get down on off track, if you recognize that you're being not grateful for things, you can just simply say, oh, I got off track, and come back to what can I be grateful for.
And so we can look at Cece's question here, which is, how do I deal with a jealous coworker? and go to what you are grateful for
Mhm.
about the people around you who aren't jealous,
Right.
the job that you have, the pay that you get, even grateful for aspects of that person
Right.
that are admirable.
Yeah.
And I know some shitty people,
Mhm.
like really shitty people. And in everybody I've ever known that came into my life who was really shitty, there was a reason why I was drawn to
Right,
them in the first
exactly.
place. And so there's something redeemable about them, even if they just turned my life upside down with horribleness. I can look at it and say, that, well, they have this going for them, or they have that going for them. So I think focusing on the positive, as hard as it is when somebody is being devilish to you,
Mhm.
really helps to change that energy.
Right. And I had this one boss drove me nuts. I would get called into his office and he would go, "Oh, have a seat. Let me just finish this email." And then I'd be sitting there for like 5 minutes while he was typing this email. I'm thinking to myself, what the hell, man? Like, let me leave. But you can't legally tell your boss what the hell. So what I decided was, after it annoyed me so many times, that he was going to teach me patience because I needed patience. And when I started to recognize that, it was, and I would drive to work and I'd sit in traffic and go, "Oh, I'm learning more patience." And so I would sit in his office and go, "Oh, so he's doing this and annoying me." But instead of getting annoyed, I'm like, "Oh, I'm learning patience." So I think that with difficult people in our lives or situations, if we can try and find, like, what are we learning? What is the benefit of this? You are just the tool. And if somebody is being, if you have a jealous coworker, because jealousy isn't cute. Jealousy is a horrible,
It's an
horrible thing.
awful.
And
feeling.
so what is it that you can take from that? Is it maybe, so they're jealous and they're acting snotty to you? Maybe the lesson that you can learn out of that is how not to react to somebody and how to have your composure and keep your power.
And if somebody's being jealous of you, there's usually a foundation for that, that you have something they don't.
Yeah.
I would just be grateful for whatever that was, that they're being jealous of.
And often, people that are jealous and are projecting that, there's an insecurity in them, and so maybe it is that you can maybe feel a little bit more compassionate towards them, and maybe even if they don't realize it. But here's the thing: is that if you are projecting out compassion or understanding to the situation, that's an energetic vibe that's going to be happening, and you can actually kind of change the situation by how you are acting.
And that's hard to do.
Very hard.
It's especially if that jealousy is really coming through in an ugly way, or a destructive way.
Does. Yeah,
it does. And so when somebody is trying to undermine you at work, and starting the whisper campaigns to create discord, it's really hard to back that up and interject anything positive into it. But this sounds really dumb to say, but as the bigger person and the more evolved person, it's your job to do that. Now, that doesn't mean you don't burn them down if it comes to it. If somebody's going under the bus, it needs to be them. They should be well acquainted with what the underside of a bus looks like. But the other side of it is, that's then their lesson.
Right.
And it doesn't mean, if you're being grateful or injecting kindness into a situation, it doesn't mean that you have to be a doormat.
Exactly. Well, and that's what I was just going to actually say, is that, what in asking what the lesson is the lesson is that you are taking too much crap. Do you need to learn how to stand up for yourself in a way that doesn't burn bridges and blow things up? So in everybody's lessons in each situation, we kind of know, hey, this is the pattern that's repeating yet again. Maybe I need to do this or that. And so you can be grateful for the lesson of you get to have another opportunity to do something different.
And I also tell my students, the most powerful words in your magical vocabulary of any word combination that you can use is "until now."
Ah, yes.
Because it creates a defining point between behaviors. Until now, I did this, I will now do this. Right. And it's a fork in the road, so you start going in a different direction. And so you have the power at any time to shift over. And it really amazes me, people who are just absolutely at the mercy of their emotions.
Mhm.
that they cannot shift out of that emotional space,
Right.
or they feel that they can't when they actually can.
Yes.
And everybody, even the most unbalanced of us, experience those emotions. And so it's a matter of being able to recognize whether or not you can pull back out of that and to have strategies if you can't.
Yeah. Well, and the emotions, they seem so big, and they can become overwhelming. But just like with the gratitude, if you're in an emotional kind of down spiral, if you can grab one thing that you're grateful for and start to expand that, you can start to shift your emotions and shift your emotions to what if you're really a very, very emotional person who can't get out of stuff like that, that feels so deeply, then you actually have the power to really make a big change, because like you were talking about, with your emotions, right? Then if we get really, really into the gratitude and we can roll with that,
Mhm.
you can take what might seem like a negative of you're so emotional into this really strong, powerful thing, because you can get really into the gratitude feeling, and it can be really big.
Have you noticed that it really irritates some people when you do that? When you work from a position of gratitude?
Yes.
It's amazing
Absolutely,
how
it
much
does.
it bothers people.
It really, yeah. Well, I have been called a rainbow puker.
Oh!
I have been called, yeah, because you're just, I'm always looking for the silver lining. I'm always looking for the lesson. And it really does. It really bothers a lot of people. But
Does.
like, why would it bother you that I want to be positive? Like,
Where's the threat there?
yeah, like, what's it hurting you that I'm happy?
I've had people say that I'm not living in the real world if I'm not reacting in a negative way to something that happens, and that that I'm somehow suppressing my feelings
Because you're not pissed off.
because I'm not being angry, or because I'm not recognizing outwardly recognizing that someone's hurting me or being offensive.
I can't remember who said it, but I heard it from somebody that when somebody says something really negative to you like that, you can say, well, that might be true for you, but it doesn't have to be true for me.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to say the second part, because that will just generally irritate people, but that
But you're probably already irritating them.
Well, yeah, if you're positive
if you're
anyway,
at that point.
yeah, but or you can just, thanks for the information, because you don't have to take it. We all have choices in all of this,
True.
But yes, it absolutely irritates some people when you're really positive.
When we look at the concept of nature being a balance, and there having to be balance in nature, it would make sense that there are positive feelings and there are negative feelings, and that we're going to ride that spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
And I really don't see I see only benefit to moving toward the positive end of that spectrum whenever you can push yourself back to that.
Well, but like anger, lots of people are like, oh, I can't be angry. It's such a bad emotions and all of those things. But anger in itself says to you, hey, something's going on that isn't fair. It's not right. You know what I mean? Anger is information.
Well, and Dr. Phil says that anger is actually always related to fear, hurt, or frustration.
Exactly. And so anger turns bad if we start taking our anger out on people. If we have actions in anger, then things can get bad. But anger is not a bad thing. It's information.
It's a normal thing.
Well, absolutely.
We're supposed to have reactions. We're supposed to be responsible and accountable for our reactions.
Right. So I think that there's a lot of there's a misconception that emotions are bad. Like if you're feeling sad, oh, well, just be positive and snap out of it. That doesn't always work. But if you're sad, when you lose somebody that you love, nobody's skipping down the road, man. That's a hard thing. Grief is a hard thing to go through.
Yeah.
But even when you're grieving, you can make the choice to say, I'm so grateful you were in my life, instead of, how come you left me?
Yeah.
And of course we're going to have mixed emotions about that, but if you can throw some gratitude in there, it just helps it feel a little smoother, and instead of always just, because it's rough. But
yeah, it is. And there's some circumstances that are just so big.
Right.
like the death of a child
Yes. Yeah.
or being sexually abused, or
Mhm.
there are some things that are just so huge that the ability to put anything positive to them is just a tremendous challenge.
Well, and maybe you know, if you've been abused, maybe you can be grateful it stopped.
If it's
You know, if it's of course, you know, I mean, or if you know, yeah, I don't know how to like really pull
those
that
are
one
hard.
off in the middle of it, but maybe
Yeah.
there's somebody that you could talk to, or
Right.
you know, but yeah,
Right. You know, it's the ability to find that line out
right,
that you can hold on to.
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, there's some really horrible things in this
There are
life.
terrible
There's some
things that
horrible,
happen.
horrible things that happen, and they can be completely consuming if that's all we focus on.
And in our world, especially now that our world is so small with
Yeah.
the internet,
Yeah.
we know a lot more horrible things than we used to.
Yeah.
And I've really been accused of being very Pollyanna and very rainbow bright because I don't watch the news.
Yeah, I don't either.
Ever. And I don't, you know, that's a lie. Every 4 years I watch the news.
For the election.
For the election.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I watched it 4 years ago. What happened there?
Yeah. But the thing is that I just believe we are only wired evolutionarily as humans to take so much negativity.
Mhm.
Like there's a limit. And I had to define an arbitrary limit on the negativity, which was my village. So if it affects me, if it affects the people that are around me, then I work aggressively in regard to it. I want to know about it. I want to learn about it. But I don't actively seek out all of the pain that's happening all over the world.
Well, and
because of that empathic push
right
that you get from it.
Well, in the news, if the news is geared to scare you,
yeah,
it's you know, deadly flu. Tune in at 11. So you tune into 11 because otherwise I'm going to die.
Right. There's a deadly flu out there.
You know, I better find out about it.
And that's in Venezuela.
Right. Yeah. So and it's but it's designed to scare you so they get views.
Right.
And so I won't watch the news anymore because they just it's horrible.
Well, and there's a danger with that perspective that you and I both have, which is, okay, if it doesn't affect me, I don't need to know about
but
it.
it's not. It's I would rather I will look at a news feed and pick which stories to read. So I still get some information, but I get to pick and choose which ones I.
But I think we also have to objectively be aware of cultural situations that are going on around us, which is a little bit different. For instance, I'm not going to sit here as a privileged white woman and say that I don't want to know that people of color are discriminated against.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't want to know that women in the workforce have unequal pay.
Yeah.
You know, I want to be aware of those challenges that we have in society without having to deal with an onslaught of negative information every day.
Right. But, you know, it's with all of those situations, you know, adding more negative to that situation and putting your power behind that doesn't do any good.
That's true.
Actually. But if you are saying, you know, I mean, if you can put some positive energy behind it, it's like Mother Teresa said that she will never attend an anti-war rally. She would only attend a peace rally because she didn't want to do anything with anti-war or anti-drugs. You know, she wants to, if it's positive, then she would go to it. If we're putting our energy behind something positive. So I think about that often and think about what is it that I want to put my energy behind instead of what was that Occupy movement?
It started with Occupy Wall Street, I think,
or something like that. And it's basically forgive me if I get this wrong, but it was about there not being enough money for the lower class, and I believe that everybody absolutely should have everything equal, but it was also coming from a place of lack, in that we couldn't have it if the 1%ers had that. We couldn't, you know, kind of thing. So it was I never got behind that because of that lack limited kind of view. And so I want to be grateful for what I have, even if I really wish that it was bigger and I really wish that I had more. But being grateful for what I do have is a way to get it to become more and multiply.
I agree. And I've not had the honor of living as a wealthy person in my entire life. I've not had the honor of living as a person who doesn't have to think about paydays in my whole life. And I'm not resentful of that. I could have made different choices that possibly created that, and I went in a different direction. And at the same time, I've had times in my life where I had nothing. I mean, was couch surfing with my kids, and
That's rough.
it was bad.
Yeah.
It was really bad. And that was after the second divorce. And I had to use gratitude then by saying, I'm so grateful I had a friend that would take me in. I'm so grateful that during a hiring freeze, I was able to get a job at the Air Force Base. I always had to find where my gratitude was going to go in an unthinkable situation. It was really, my husband had left me for an ugly woman, and there was nothing about that whole situation that made sense. And now when I look back, I know he was being moved aside by the powers that be so that I could go in a different direction, because I would not have, because I, was very invested in that. And so I think that part of gratitude, people mistakenly believe they have to understand why they don't have what they want in order to be grateful. It has to make sense. And it doesn't have to make sense. You just have to be grateful.
Yeah. Well, and it, it's free and it makes you feel better. And, the times in my life that I remember to make a gratitude list in the morning and a gratitude list at night, you build that up for a while, and it really makes a difference in how you view
it does
things.
And it changes. It really changes the way that positive things come to you. So in addition to changing how you view things, it makes things happen.
It absolutely does. I mean, it's amazing that if you say, well, this is my desire, I like, let's say I want a Porsche, but today I'm grateful for the car that I'm driving, and you be grateful for, even if it's limping down the freeway, you still got a car, or I'm grateful that I might not have a car right now, but I have legs that will carry me.
I'm grateful that Porsches come in these colors.
Yes. Yeah. Or, just you can always be grateful for something. And when you're grateful for something, it multiplies.
It does. And, again, people focus on the negative. They focus on the lack because people don't, and this is a problem with gratitude. It really is. People don't move or change unless there's pain. If everything is nice, they don't want to rock the boat. So they don't want to invest change into something that's going really, really well.
Well, and here's the thing, though, is that people say, oh, well, I don't want to rock the boat. Everything's fine. Fine is not happy. Fine is beige. Why are you settling for fine?
You do have to take risks to make anything happen.
Right.
For instance, having Crossroads, which we love.
Yes, absolutely.
I had to really jump off the cliff and give up something that I loved in order to get this. But I didn't even know this existed. Sometimes you've got to be that fool card in the tarot where you're just stepping off the cliff without any assurances of success.
Right.
And then you're like, I'm just grateful it's a really long way down to those rocks so I can live longer until I die.
Well, yeah, and and it takes, like when I brought the healing tree out into the world.
That was.
I was absolutely, I had no idea what I was doing, and I just took this huge chance, and I hoped it worked out okay. But I figured I'm gonna try. So.
And people by nature, like I said, they don't want to rock the boat. People are not risk takers overall. They have to get to the point that they either are so firmly invested in what they're doing and what they believe that they're willing to do it.
Yeah.
Or they're just stupid like me and just do it anyway.
Well, but
or it's so bad that they've got nothing to lose.
Yeah. Well, and like with the healing tree, this is what I wanted to manifest. I wanted so desperately for this to happen. And when it was in front of me, that reminds me of, do you guys remember the term, Transformers?
Yeah.
The very first movie when that kid's in Bumblebee and he's a car and what was her name? That pretty girl? Anyway. Megan Fox. She's lying on the ground and he says, he says, he holds his hand out and he says, get in the car. And he says, and then he leans over and he says, when you're telling this story, don't you want to say you got in the car? And I mean, I remember that and I think, I want to say I got in the car.
Yeah.
And I've lived my life and I've taken some chances and all of these wonderful things that I can be grateful for. So yeah, there's definitely, there's risks that need to be taken when the opportunity presents itself.
I completely agree. And that ties into gratitude, because you have to be grateful for all the times that you took a risk and it didn't work, because that took you to somewhere else.
Well, and be grateful for that you were brave and that you had the opportunity to take a chance and you learned something from that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yep.
All right.
Well,
got anything else to add?
I'm grateful that you came to
We're
our
grateful
live.
you were here tonight. And next week we will be pulling tarot cards again over on Facebook. So you can either go to Sacramento Healing Tree on the Facebook, or you can go to Crossroads Occult on Facebook. And either of those will give you the link to the live streams.
Right.
And we'll be pulling cards for people.
And hit subscribe.
Hit subscribe.
I think it's
hit the subscribe button.
Yeah.
Yep. And we'll be here most weeks. The only weeks we're not here next week. It's Thanksgiving.
Oh, right.
So it's the following week that
Are we
we'll be
doing
here.
tarot that week?
I think so. Let me look at the important book.
Let her look at her magical master list.
Everything is in here. Everything in the world is in the date
there.
book. So
let us know what you thought about the live stream over here. We were trying something new. So
tarot, December 5th.
December 5th.
December
Facebook.
5th, tarot.
Go over there.
Tarot on Facebook.
Yeah, so you can ask one question and you get a card from both of us. And and we laugh and be silly and have fun.
Give you a good tarot reading.
Yeah.
And of course, if you want a tarot reading from either one of us that's specific to your situation as a full reading, just contact us at the Healing Tree or
you
Crossroads
can
Occult.
find me if you just go to Crossroads Occult. You can
click she's on there
too. So just go there and then you can find me.
And you can book a reading with us and we'll give you our full attention. We both do remote readings as well as in-person readings. So we're happy to read for you there. And if you have magical questions, you can shoot those to us as well.
Mm-hmm.
We're both doing cleansing. She does aura cleansing and core wound healing. I do Limpias, which is a traditional 4-part energetic cleanse. And so we'll get you all baselined again so that you're at your best self. We can do both of those by remote and in person. So just hit us up for those. And that online classroom will be available before too long. We're working aggressively on it.
Yep.
It just takes a long time because there's a buttload of classes.
Yes.
So anyway, thanks everybody for coming.
Thanks everybody.
And we'll see you in 2 weeks. Happy Thanksgiving.
Bye.
And make sure if you're not doing it anytime, at least do it on Thanksgiving and then work from there.
Yeah.
Grateful for that pie.
Bye. Bye.